Welcome to the Inside the Sales Playbook show, where on each and every episode, we dive straight into the sales processes, the plays and strategies working for sales teams today. No high-level overview or fluff. We get into the actual weeds of what some of the fastest growing and most successful sales teams are doing today to drive revenue and grow their businesses. And we've got two sponsors on the show today. The first is Sales Kit. Sales Kit takes the guesswork out of scaling your sales knowledge all on one great platform. No longer does your sales team need to have all of their knowledge, SOPs, templates, and scripts in Microsoft Word, in Google Drives, in Dropbox folders, and scattered throughout the entire organization. SalesKit makes it easier than ever for your team to access the sales knowledge that actually works right at their fingertips. You can sign up for a free trial at getsaleskit.com. And we're also sponsored by my book, Raise Your Standards, the definitive guide to building seven-figure sales. You can get a free copy of this book to grow your sales, whether you're an entrepreneur, a sales leader, or a sales contributor at getsaleskit.com/book. I'm your host, Mark Evans. And today I'm here with an awesome entrepreneur, really excited for this conversation all the way out in Utah, Mr. Richard Allred of ATS. Richard, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mark, it's good to be with you today.
Awesome. Well,
Look forward to speaking.
Yeah, we're really happy to have you as well, Richard. And how about you give the listeners a little bit of context? What is ATS and how do you help your clients achieve their mission?
Yeah, so ATS as a company, we do interact with things that are critical to humanity. We see ourselves as stewards of humanity. And so we're looking for better ways to treat water, wastewater, work with agriculture products, and as well as safety. And as a company, we've been in business 40 plus years, and have a lot of fun seeing how we can innovate and come up with better, safer ways to take care of our drinking water, our food, and safety.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I mean, talk about a real mission and vision that you can get behind, right? When you're talking about being stewards of humanity and clean water, what an amazing way to have an impact on this world. That's really neat. Well, Richard, of all the things you could have done, you're a smart guy, accomplished individual. All the things you could have done, how did you even get into this role that you find yourself in today?
I really enjoy the business development process and working with that. And I grew up with a father that was a chemist and worked with water treatment. And so, this space was familiar to me. And, when I was younger, enjoyed working with him. He's, of course, long since retired and enjoying time with my mother. So that's really how I got involved in the water treatment space. And, as we did, as I worked in it, I just saw there's lots of areas where there can be improvements and, areas where we can make it safer and help clean up, some of the issues that we have. For example, this past summer, we actually ran a pilot on Utah Lake where we were able to eliminate the blue-green algae and actually develop a model around it so we can predict when those outbreaks will come about and when and what's needed to get rid of them.
Wow. Yeah, that's got to be a pretty cool thing to see your product service company having an impact on just the greater good. And I believe Utah Lake, that's probably close to home, I would imagine.
Yeah, it is. It's close to home, and it affects lots of cities around the lake, and just the recreation and that in Utah. And this year with the pandemic and people were staying away from work and wanting places to go, it really hurts the economy. The areas around the lake where people can't come to the lake if there's an cyanobacteria algae bloom.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. I live down here in Naples, Florida with my family, and just recently a bloom of red tide where some algae in the water comes and kills off a whole bunch of fish. They wash on shore, and it's very uncomfortable to even go within 100 yards of the beach. Your sinuses start acting up and eyes are itchy. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, that's awesome. Let's kind of transfer, and I'd really love to get your take on leadership as well, Richard. You've obviously helped grow this company to be the successful organization it is now. You've got 26 employees in the U.S. You got 8 based in Brazil. But what do you think makes a leader of a good and growing company?
I actually think one of the big areas is realizing you don't have all the answers, and so And in my case, I've got an executive team around me that I really truly think are, they're more intelligent. They're very proficient in the areas that they cover for the company, and it's a lot of fun to see the enthusiasm they have and the desire they have to make everything better for people, and they're driven not just for a paycheck and not just providing for their family, but they truly want to make things better for the world, and it's a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, I could definitely imagine that, and that's pretty cool that you were able to get a team. How does one go about and recruit for and surround themselves with good people, where you can offload some of those duties, or at least have partners in crime, right, if you will, to help you really grow a business?
Yeah, a lot of it comes from networking, and in our case, several of these people came through a trusted advisor, Greg Butterfield, with Sage Creek Partners, that I have known for years as a teenager, and just kept in contact through the years. And he introduced me to a couple of them. One of them had worked for our company years ago, and we talked him into coming back. Another is my brother, that a younger brother that's a lot smarter and really detail oriented. We were able to get him to come on board, and then actually, as we were going about the process of trying to help the state of Utah, we ran into a lobbyist that down the road we this year, with the pandemic and our need to pivot as a company to help, brought him on board full time, and so that's kind of how we put our team together. And I guess we've got one other that came indirectly from this mentor I have.
Yeah, that makes sense. So surrounding yourselves with mentors, getting yourself with mentors. Yeah, I can see how that all works. Well, let's transition a little bit. Let's talk. You mentioned before the call started that you've got 10 salespeople. So, and one of the questions I get from a lot of people is everybody's looking to improve their training and onboarding experience for new reps. Everybody's looking to reduce their ramp time or increase the quality of their training process. So, how do you at ATS, and how does your team, how do you approach onboarding and training? Because the solutions that you're selling, they're not just widgets out of a box. These are pretty complex, different products that you're providing. So how does your onboarding and training process, what does that look like?
So a big part of that's handled by our Chief Revenue Officer, Kirk Langston, and he has, a program and system in place where he brings them in and trains them. And working together with our marketing department, they've put together the use of software. So we use quite a bit of software, Salesforce, SalesLoft, and other programs where they are able to tie in what each of them, should be doing, help them understand. And we have 10 sales reps, but we've actually really expanded that. Kirk's brought on a rep network that's in the thousands of people, and he actually does onboarding for all of them, and training, and getting them set up and with the documents and the software and everything they need. So it's kind of a team effort, between our CFO, Eric Lee, jumps in on that, and Stephen Allred, my brother's in marketing, but he's also a really good technology person, and so he's able to modify the software so that it works for us and for our reps, and so it really gives us a bigger bandwidth than we normally would have.
That's great. Yeah. And I've heard, you've your great success stories of using large dealer networks like that. I've also heard on the other side where, hey, you don't always know how your dealer is potentially selling your product. What are some of the struggles maybe that you've seen with going to more of this distributor and dealer network sales model? And how do you keep control of the sales message and keep that dealer network consistent in their sales approach?
Yeah, a couple things that we do that I think really help with that. One is the training, of course, and onboarding that Kirk does with all these. But we're also on key conversations with them, and so we have somebody from ATS on the messaging and that, listening in on calls. Any of them that are strategic to the company. Of course, you can't be on all of them. But one of the other things that I think is unique, at least it's unique compared to what we've done historically, in the decades past is, Stephen has put together uh, documents so that they're all in the cloud, and
Mm.
there's only available the document that is the most current. And so we use links instead of actual documents passed around. And so when a rep or that goes to pull a link or information to send to one of their customers, they're just getting the latest information. And those are updated sometimes, multiple updates a day of different documents. And so everybody, if you send that link, and then if you send it and 3 months down the road, somebody wants to look at the link, they don't have the link they saw the first time. It's our best information as of today.
Yeah, that's always frustrating. I certainly have been in that situation where you're like going through your email inbox trying to find that one PDF sales sheet or pricing information, only to find out that it's expired or that we've moved to a new one. Yeah, that's really frustrating. And it sounds like as you've expanded to this 1,000+ dealer network, that having those systems in place is really critical. We love hearing that on the show. That's awesome.
Yeah, it really helps you scale and keep the message the same. And yeah, we do have lots of communication. I know lots of times conversations go late into the night with our team, just making sure that people have the latest information, they're up to date. And with the pandemic, we have, as a company, we have lots of products that were used in the drinking water space, the agriculture space, and we were able to pivot that to help with the disinfectant space. And as we looked at that market, and our sales team went out and kind of looked at what was in the market, there are a lot of products that aren't safe for people to use that we're using every day. These products contain quaternary ammonia or quats, and they're not. If you look on the labels, they'll tell you keep away from children. These wipes that we think are safe and friendly from trusted companies, they're not. And so as a company, we've gone out, and our sales team's done a great job of this too, at looking for what is it in the market, and we've luckily been able to repurpose products that are used for cleaning fruits and vegetables that don't leave residuals, don't hurt people. And so just that message, it's got people excited about it, because who wants to do something or use products that are going to harm their children, their spouse, their family in general. So the pandemic's kind of put a spotlight, I guess, on these products, and so it's helped with our sales effort.
Yeah, I could imagine. Has your sales playbook and the actions that your sales team is taking, how has that changed since the pandemic, if it has, or how will you think it changes as we move on into 2021?
I think, that our team in general is, we've hired people that really do want to do good. As the pandemic hit, there was just a burst of energy. I would guess that the vast majority of the team was putting in 12, 16-hour days, some of them longer. Every day for a period of time. They were bringing family, friends, anybody they could to help get product out the door as quick as possible, as we got our supply chains and those modified and in place. And the sales team had to redo lots of information, and they were turning around marketing, turning around documents. It was fun to see that much energy and excitement, not just from the employees, but from their families, bring dinners by, lunch, stay and help, get packages out. So
That's pretty cool. I love hearing that. That's awesome. Richard, the products that you sell are pretty complex, right? And they're not just out of the box widgets. Talk me through what are some of the things that you guys do that separates you from your competition, and how do what are some of the keys that you've learned with such a complex sales cycle?
Yeah, I think some of the things are really to try to understand what the customer's needs are. And a lot of time with complex sales, it takes a little time to get to what that is. When you ask somebody initially, we need to clean this water and it needs to be to what? They'll all say drinking water. Well, some of them will say ultra pure water. Those terms usually they don't understand completely, and there's you can make a water so it's clean like a mountain stream. That's not as expensive as drinking water is, and it's not even close to as expensive as ultra pure water is. And so a lot of times it's really sitting down with them and saying, what's the end goal here?
Mm.
In some cases, I've even run into a situation where we came upon a customer where we actually had to help them make the water less clean so they could discharge it into a stream and not kill the fish, because they had overshot the mark. And so part of it's working with them to understand that. A lot of it is specifying exactly what's going to happen. And so documents that specify, here's exactly what the plan is, here's how it's going to be executed, and making sure that they have a buy-in. Now, one of the things that I notice Kirk does, and I don't directly run sales, so I'm not on lots of his calls, but I have noticed on critical ones, him or Steve Goldsmith, they'll actually work on the document live with the customer. Mm. So it's up on the screen in a Zoom call or a Teams meeting or something, and actually work on what those specifications are, how things are going to get carried out, and how it's going to work. So it's not something that we're presenting to the customer. It's something that we're building with the customer.
Yeah, I really like that. We're hand in hand helping build the solution that they're going to eventually use. I would imagine you have a lot of success with that.
Yeah, we really do. When we work with that, and even on other transactions that are maybe more transactional, still understanding how the company works on their back end, receiving and do they have equipment to unload, all those types of things. If those are all determined and understood up front, then our sales team and our marketing team can present everything to them already in a finished format instead of, let's start. And so it shortens the sales cycle quite a bit.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Well, Steve, I think that's a great point. Let's pivot to the close with the final 5. So these are 5 rapid fire questions that I'll ask and you answer.
Okay.
Are you ready? These will
ready.
be fun. All right, here we go. Give me your favorite sales or business related movie.
Oh, shoot. Man, I should be more rapid fire on that than this.
That's all right. You can always take a pass, and we can come.
I'm going to take a pass on that one and think for a minute.
All right, we'll punt on that one. Favorite sales or business book?
My favorite book is probably It's Not Luck.
Do you know who the author is about?
Yeah, it's Goldratt that did The Goal. So it's the marketing twist and how to apply the principles into closing deals. This like The Goal. So it's a great book.
Awesome. We'll link to it in the show notes. What do you know now that you wish you would have known when you first got into business, Steve?
I think one of the things that as an entrepreneur that it's interesting, you're in your own sandbox, and there are laws and rules that regulate certain things you do, but how you develop your sales process in your business is really, part of the, I guess, the creativity that you get to have. And I think as soon as you realize that, it helps free you up to do some things that allow you to really expand what you're doing quickly.
Yeah, I really like that. You're in the sandbox. You can play around with it. I dig that. Richard, what's one of your favorite purchases of 2020, business or personal, under $100?
Oh, one of my favorite purchases under $100. I actually just purchased wood to make a bow and arrow. And just a fun project to do with my son.
So you're making your own stick bow.
Making my own, longbow, and just multiple types of wood so that it'll look pretty when it's stained up.
Have you done this before?
I haven't done that, but I've done other woodworking projects before. So
now, will you make your own arrows as well?
Yeah, we'll get to that next year.
Very cool. All part of the process. I like it. And is there a favorite CEO or business personality that you follow or author?
Author, I really like Jim Collins' books. Part of it's just presentation of material. Part of it just it gets you to think, and of course he publishes a lot of information. templates and stuff that can be pulled off after. And I actually think it's really cool that he kind of decided to make his own sandbox, and instead of just being a professor, decided he was going to make his go at it doing business. So he's kind of fun to follow.
Yeah, pretty prolific individual as well. Richard, if our listeners want to, where can they connect with you? What's a good spot for them to do so?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. It is probably an easy way to do it. And of course, you can always contact me on my email at richard.allred@atssmartsolutions.com.
Awesome. Well, Richard, thanks so much. I really enjoyed this interview. That's Richard Allred with ATS. Richard, thanks so much for taking us inside the Sales Playbook today.
All right. Hey, thank you.